Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 129 and the Professional Firefighters of Ocala Local 2135 will be hosting a City Council and Mayoral Candidates Forum at the Community Building at MLK First Responders Campus, located at 625 Northwest MLK Boulevard on July 29th from 6 to 9 p.m. It's open to the public, limited seating. These two unions hope to get each other's candidates' stance on public safety issues and how each candidate's policies will impact the citizens of Ocala.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
2 Men in a Truck.
Think you know Dex Imaging? Think again. In the office, streamlining communications. In the field, delivering top-notch service, enhancing productivity and reducing downtime. In the data center, a part of the growing digital document revolution. In the world of business, supporting entrepreneurs and helping companies grow. In the forefront of technology, developing cutting-edge document management solutions. So if you think you know Dex Imaging, you don't know Dex.
Veterans Helping Veterans USA. Call 352-433-2320. We help veterans and their families with limited financial assistance, counseling, employment referrals, and a food and clothing bank. You can help in making a huge difference in the veterans' lives we serve by donating food, clothing, household items, or direct financial assistance. All donations are tax deductible. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. 352-433-2320. Thank you for your attention, and God bless America.
If you can pronounce Starburst clerodendron, you can buy one of these rare and unusual plants for just $24.99 at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens this week. Come see for yourself a truly gigantic selection of the best summertime bargains in town, including hundreds of mixed or matched flowering shrubs. Buy one, get one free. Crepe myrtle, buy 'em white, buy 'em pink, just $6.99. All hanging baskets are buy one, get one at half price. Check out the big Little Gem magnolias for just $50. Buy one shade tree at Bob's super low price and get another one just like it for half price. If you've got a landscaping job, Bob Wines can do it better for less on time. It's Bob Wines Camellia Gardens, Nursery, Garden Center, and Landscaping. Southeast 38th Street in Ocala. Daily till 4, Saturdays till 3. Now they're in the same blooming place since 1952.
It's Monday. Not sure how you did it, but you actually survived an entire 2 days without hearing from Tom. Good job to you. And once again, good luck.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY only $4.99. Plus DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks.
And I don't know.
During the break, you heard the Chief of Police of Washington, D.C. say he blames it on marijuana. We have medical marijuana usage here in Florida, but there's still if you get caught with marijuana and you don't have a medical card, it's not something they brush under the rug here in Florida like they do in a lot of other places, but it's one they're probably looking at to start having lesser penalties to decriminalize it. Do you think you could draw a direct correlation from marijuana to violence?
Well, I think his whole thing is that because it's not legal, people are just selling it openly on the streets, right?
Because there's not a big penalty for doing so.
Correct. So it's a theory. When he said it at first, I'm like, oh, that, and I'm like, oh, maybe that is true. Maybe there is something to that. So I obviously I don't have any more info on it.
It's been decriminalized. It's been decriminalized in Washington D.C. So if you get caught, and you got less than I think it's less than 6 ounces on you or something, they write you a ticket to appear. Well, 6 ounces. Back when I wasn't a nice guy, I know a little thing about dividing stuff up. 6 ounces are 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter bags. So you sell $30 on the street or $40 on the street. That's 160 times 6. You're talking about almost $1,000 that could be made before you have to face any serious jail time. Yeah, I bet there are people vying for corners and everything in a decriminalized zone to sell black market marijuana. I bet there may be something to his theory.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of prohibition in general. I just don't think it works. History, time and time again, proves that nothing makes the masses want something more than
saying they can't have it. Exactly. Nothing makes the masses. I mean, people died from bathtub moonshine, bathtub gin.
Sure. And again, so I'm all for legalization of almost everything, but
that's that libertarian in you there. See that? That's that libertarian.
Exactly. Yeah, but again, I don't think the government should control 90% of what they control. So, I could allow that. And by the way, on the same side, if I want to own a tank, I should own a tank.
So you think
I should have that ability?
You think Washington's job is infrastructure of the country, a good military, No. Oh, so they shouldn't build roads or anything. No. The federal government shouldn't build roads or bridges.
No.
Okay.
No. Unless it's on federal ground. Infrastructure. You look at the history of infrastructure.
The interstate system, by the way, the interstate system would have never got built without the federal government.
That's debatable. The idea in Eisenhower's dream was very good, but those roads were built by states with federal funding.
Yes.
Now, that federal funding came from the people who live in those states, right? What I believe in, and if you really want the best highway system or road system, it's tolls, right? There would be no taxes.
You pay to play.
That's right. So you want great roads? Great. It's going to be a toll road. You go 160 miles an hour on this toll road.
By the way,
right?
one of the best roads.
All the problems.
One of the best roads in the state is the Suncoast Parkway that goes between Crystal River and Tampa.
Absolutely.
It's one of the best roads in the state. I will
Most
tell you though,
roads are.
And I will tell you yesterday, because when we went up to Panama City, we took the scenic route. We went up. We got on 27 here in town.
Oh, you went down.
Went up into Williston, alternate 27 through Chiefland. Got on 19, 19 up to Perry. Got on 98 and took the scenic highway all the way into Panama City. Now, once you get on 98 past Panacea, it's 2-lane the whole way. So you're just there watching the view. So when you're coming home, there's no way I was coming back a 2-lane highway where I could be stuck behind somebody on a Sunday afternoon.
Takes you 6 hours.
Right. So I went, you got to wind your way from Panama City. You got to wind your way north to I-10. And it's not an easy wind north, but it's what has to happen. So we get on I-10 yesterday. I-10 is the exact opposite of a toll road. It's a terribly built highway. It's not big enough for the traffic that's on it. It was like I was in a road course race with people who thought it was a figure 8 Crash'em Derby. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like. I was in a NASCAR race with a bunch of people that thought it was a smash up figure 8 derby instead of an actual NASCAR race. So when I come down the road, got through Tallahassee, I know once I get past Tallahassee, I'm past the Panhandle 2-lane road. I got to U.S. Highway 19, the Florida Georgia Greenway is what they call it. The Florida Georgia Parkway, excuse me, what they call it, and it's just U.S. 19. I got off U.S. 19's 4-lane, 2-lane on each side, 65 miles an hour, except for slowing down in Perry Chiefland and Williston, you're running 73, 74 miles an hour, and there was about a tenth of the traffic on it. I don't know how everybody doesn't do it that way.
Well, and again, infrastructure, it's just that historically, it's always been a boondoggle, right? It's just nothing more than to line the politicians and their supporters.
That's where they get their pork belly from.
That's exactly right. So my whole thing is the federal government should have two things. They should be in charge of our borders because no one else can do it,
and our military,
and they should protect us and our military. Outside of that, the whole Department of Education should be gone. Social Security should be gone. Medicaid, Medicare should be gone. All of that should be absolutely removed instantaneously.
You just want to, just free us up from all kind of unneeded taxes.
I can't stand it. I again, and when I look at it, I'm like, well, what? If you look at what the federal budget is, 60% of it's spent on social programs, right? Whether that's Social Security or Medicaid, Medicare. That 60%, Tom. That's a lot. And we've been holding up Social Security for years, and I understand it. I really do. People pay in it their entire lives. They have a right to it at this point, but at some point, stop it and say, hey, you're responsible for your own retirement. That's all.
So, speaking of boondoggles and the United States, I know people want to say this guy's the greatest coach in NBA history and everything. And I'm talking about Greg Popovich. And okay, if you want to say that, I don't agree with you. But if you want to say that, that's okay. But I can tell you this: he stinks as an Olympic basketball coach. I mean, stinks. He made some play. I went back and watched that game. Some of the people he had on the floor together, you know that their games aren't going to mesh enough to win a basketball game. They lose to France yesterday, and they lost by 7. But I watched that game, and I knew the outcome before I watched the game, so it may have jaded me a little bit. But at no time did I feel like America had a chance to win that basketball game. Now, it may be that I already knew the outcome, but that's the first men's basketball loss in the Olympics. Are you ready for this? In 6,176 days of the Olympics.
Pretty crazy, isn't it, Tom? Crazy.
I mean, he's got all these scores, and they score 76 points. The Olympic floor allows for points to be scored. It's supposed to be a quicker, faster game. And they score 76 points in a loss to France. I mean,
sad.
It's terrible.
Sad. And again, they only scored 78 points or something.
76.
They played no defense.
76 is all they
didn't score. I think France outscored them like 14-2 in the final minutes. And when you look at their shot selection, they just came down, jack to 3, came down, jack to 3, jack to 3, jack to 3. And I love Damian Lillard's answer. He goes, well, these people take the game a whole lot more serious. They play better for their own country. What? Come on. Those guys, the 3 guys who play in the NBA, would not even be good enough to be on the USA team.
No.
So, I don't know if I'm. I don't know how I feel about it because they're the United States, right? And you want to root for the U.S.
But then it's the NBA players.
If they lose, I really don't care.
Well, here's what got me.
Did you see the?
Here's what got me. I mean, I saw the press conference afterwards. I watched it on the ESPN on SportsCenter this morning. Popovich was acting like, what's the big deal? It's just January. Playoffs aren't till June. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? It almost felt like, remember when Will Muschamp went in front of the cameras after he lost to a certain team, 26-20, no passing, no problems? I don't know who that team was, Georgia Southern. But remember when Will Muschamp, he went to the camera and goes, folks, Georgia Southern's a good football team. They got scholarship players too. Shut up. You should have beat Georgia Southern is what Florida should have done. And to go in front of the cameras like that and say, well, they got scholarship players too, that's insulting to your players and to Georgia Southern. Well, Popovich did the same thing. He goes, look, when you lose a game, you're not surprised. You're just disappointed. I don't understand the word surprise. That sort of disses the French team. I mean, are we supposed to beat them by 30 or something? That's a hell of a team. They have NBA players. They have 3 NBA players. You got 15.
You're absolutely right. And I'm not a Popovich fan. He's a panderer. You know, he lucked up and got arguably 2 of the top 5 centers of all time at the exact same time, and then back-to-back. And that's how he won all those championships.
Of course it was. David Robinson and Tim
Duncan.
It makes me laugh when people go, Popovich. And I said you could argue the point. I wouldn't argue it because he had probably 2 of the most gifted centers to play in the end. I mean, they're not the top. Duncan is going to go down as probably him and Karl Malone because they have him listed as a power forward. The 2 best power forwards ever, although Larry Bird would have something to say about that. But you know, David Robinson was a great, even with the 2 years of service he gave to the Navy, he was a great center in the league. He had both of them at the same time because he was so bad that he got Tim Duncan in a draft too. And so, I mean, it's kind of like people say that Joe Torre was one of the greatest managers ever. And I go, well, yeah, because the Yankees kept giving him talent. When he was with the Braves, it was the most untalented team in baseball. Torre couldn't win 60 games a year.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and again, I just not a, and so part of me is like, okay, you fail. Great. Fantastic. And I just think it's kind of fun. I do. I think it's kind of funny.
Let me give you the stat again. It's the first loss in the Olympics. First loss in the Olympics in 6,176 days.
And they don't care. I mean, they don't care, and I don't know why we should care if they don't care.
It just, you know, there's a real chance they might not medal here.
Oh, there's a great chance of it.
And do you know the only time that the U.S. basketball team has not medaled in basketball in the Olympics since it's been a sport in the Olympics? Do you know the only time they did not get a medal?
When they boycotted it?
1980, when they boycotted it.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it truly is, and again, it's
and it's not.
I wonder how they're going to respond.
And it's not slobs that are on this USA team.
Medal.
This USA team is not slobs. Everybody goes, well, LeBron's not on the team. Doesn't matter.
He's not a top 10 player in the NBA right now.
No, Kevin Durant is the top of the top. And
Correct.
Correct. And he's a scoring machine supposedly, but they scored 76 points. 76 points. Can we just say Popovich sucks as a basketball coach? At least on the Olympic level. Good night. Also, I saw this, and I knew that I would have to talk to you about this because I knew that it would get your back up. Over the weekend, actually on Friday, the liar extraordinaire, in my opinion, if you got any problems with that, Tom at WOCA.com. My opinions don't always mirror that of the ownership or the management of this station. So if you got a problem with anything I say, it's Tom at WOCA. Anthony Fauci is a liar. And now he's threatening with the CDC to say mask mandates again, even if you've been vaccinated. So does the vaccination work? Does it not work? Do masks work? Do they not work? What's the end game here? Why is Fauci lying again or not lying? It's driving me crazy, Galen. Help me out.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right to wonder. You know, here's a guy who was double masking, right? And then he was like, oh, no, well, if you've been vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. Well, just stick to your story.
Yeah.
And again, if any of his beliefs were based on actual science, it would be a whole lot easier to deal with. Problem is none of it is based on science. It's all, he's just a sheet in the wind blowing around.
I mean, if this was a criminal investigation, as many times as he's changed his story, he'd be convicted before it even went to the grand jury.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the senator out of Kentucky, Rand Paul, can actually, because he said he's writing a letter telling them, that Fauci lied and about gain of function. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
11 weeks ago, the CDC announced that most fully vaccinated people no longer needed to wear a mask inside, even in crowded spaces. If you're a high risk, they still recommended that you do it, but most did not if you were fully vaccinated. That was 11 weeks ago, less than 3 months ago, and now they're saying, no, we got to have a mask on inside. Is the mask lobby that strong? Is there such a big business for pieces of paper with elastic strings coming out of them that the lobby is so strong that they're like, we need to sell more masks. You got to do it. You got to do it. Pick a story, CDC, and stick to it. That's all I'm asking you.
Well, what's interesting about all that is, DeSantis is just taking all kinds of grief.
Well, we're the number one state now for infections. Number one. If you believe what they put in the news.
Sure.
Still has a survival rate of 99%, by the way.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, if you want to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. That's what I've always said.
By the way, if you choose to get vaccinated, by all means, go get the vaccination. It seems to, by all accounts, it seems to help some. How much? Whether it's 98%, whether it's 65%, it's not clear. But remember, the flu shot, usually a good flu shot season is the flu works on 40% of the people that get it.
Well, and again, what I've said from the very beginning is the United States paid for all of these vaccines, right? We paid them. We bought them. We paid for them. Operation Warp Speed, right, gave us all of these vaccinations, and by most accounts, they work more than they don't work. Right? I think we can easily admit to that. Why don't we have all the data? Why don't we have the data on what is actually happening with reactions? Why don't we have the data on the actual efficacy of each one of these so we can make our own mind? That's what I've asked for from the beginning. Just give me the data.
50% of the nation is fully vaccinated. They say that's a long way from herd immunity, though. For some reason, 83% is herd immunity. I don't understand that. But I'm so confused with all the information coming. This is bad for you. This is good for you. This is terrible for you. No, this works. No, you need to do that. No, you need to get vaccinated. Well, now if you're vaccinated, people are still getting. I mean, there's U.S. athletes in Tokyo. There's 183 people in Tokyo right now that are COVID positive. All of them were vaccinated. All of them. So
doesn't make sense.
I'm so confused now. And remember, this is a guy who took a test. It was positive. Went and took another test from a doctor's office 15 minutes later. It came back negative. Went the next day to one of the drugstores in town, took a test. It came back negative. So I had 3 tests in 24 hours, 1 positive, 2 of them negative. So who's to believe what?
Yeah, yeah, on those, it just depends on which kind you get. That means everything. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a fair point. It's an absolute fair point.
The former U.S. Surgeon General Jerome Adams said, whether it's masking or whether it's closure of states or whether it's your kids having to go back to virtual learning, it's coming. It's coming because the pandemic is spiraling out of control, and it's spiraling out of control because we don't have enough people vaccinated. But if the vaccination's working, how are people that are vaccinated getting the COVID again?
It's fair.
What
we don't know, Tom, what we don't know is the percentages of people who are vaccinating getting the Delta variant. There's a guess, right? I've seen all kinds of numbers. Just share the data. That's all I'm saying. If you really believe in it, then just share the data.
So we can try to make an informed decision. Because right now I got nothing. Here's today's numbers. This is the latest of today's numbers. The U.S. has had more than 34.4 million confirmed COVID cases since the start of the epidemic. 610,800 COVID-related deaths. They don't say COVID deaths now. They're COVID-related deaths. It's 163 million Americans have been vaccinated. I mean, when you think about that, they say don't give it to children under the age of 12. Well, that's probably 20, 40, 50 million people that the census count.
Well, there's no evidence that this really impacts children.
Right. But if you don't vaccinate your children under 12, well, the under 12 population in this country makes up about 50 million people.
Sure.
So when you take that on top of the 163 million, now you're at 213 million out of 330 million. So now you're like 70%. But they don't want that number to be out there because they want you to get vaccinated. Well, 49% have been vaccinated. Another probably 20% don't need to be vaccinated because they're children under the age of 12. I mean, that seems to me like they're not telling the truth there because they're not giving you the whole number.
Well, I will tell you, in Jacksonville, I have a lot of hospital connections, and one of the hospitals in Jacksonville, the average age of the people who are hospitalized with COVID right now are around 58.
Yeah.
Right. That's the new average age. And he said all of the ones that are in hospitals were not vaccinated.
Wow.
And again, but I don't know. As no one knows, no one is sharing the whole data as to how many who are vaccinating actually getting
the
virus
to know,
and to what degree they're getting.
Right.
It.
We need to know that. Hey, Galen, what else we need to know is where's the Bloodmobile today?
Hey, Bloodmobile today. We're at the Walmart down in Springfield. You come see us there, but of course we're always right down the boulevard. Check us out at lightsouth.org. 223544. Get blood today. We're in emergency.
Okay, we'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll be right back after this time out of Ocala Talk, 1378.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
It's time for Farm and Ranch Headlines of the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tom.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
Saying that he is a part of the decision, Dr. Anthony Fauci on CNN Saturday says bringing back mask mandates is under active consideration.
We're seeing that in LA, we're seeing it in Chicago, we're seeing that in New Orleans because the officials there, many of them are saying, even if you're vaccinated, it's prudent to wear a mask indoors.
Fauci did not say whether or not he supported mask mandates for the vaccinated. Although the pandemic put school life on hold in the spring of 2020, some parents are grateful it happened. They're now opting to homeschool their children, even as school plans to resume in-person classes. The U.S. Census Bureau, which reported in March that the rate of household homeschooling their children rose to 11% by September of 2020. It was just 5.4% of American households 6 months earlier. Thanks for listening. It is well appreciated. We are USA Radio News.
They're calling it the new socialism. More and more Democratic lawmakers want everyone to get a basic income, even if they don't work, free health care, free college, and more. Now, every night this week, Rob Schmidt is on Newsmax pushing back on the new socialism and its leaders like AOC and